Hello, today I've got the Roland SH-101 again. Not the same one as I'd done in a previous video which had a problem with the keys. This is another one and it's got a typical problem that I've just lost count how many keyboards I've had to do this to. But where the power socket goes in and we'll switch on, there you go, it works. It lights up and it'll play. But what tends to happen is, I don't expect I'll be able to do this now I'm actually videoing, but there's a certain point, there you go, it's gone out now, so we'll just nudge it, it comes back on again, and that is just a dry joint. Well, I'll say a 9 in 10 chance that it's just a dry joint, and all it basically needs is resoldering. That's about it, and then it should last a long time again. Now, there's also a problem with the VCF, the resonance here, and it's doing absolutely nothing at all. So I'm going to open it up and have a look at that and see if that's just a dry joint as well. It'd be nice if it is, but if it isn't, maybe this video will be a little bit more interesting. Anyway, I'll shut up and get it open. Smells lovely. So the power socket is up here on this board, and if you're lucky we should be able to just slide that out. I'll resolder it and see what happens. Right, that's resoldered, and I'm going to just look along the tracks, because sometimes what also happens is you get a tiny crack on one of the tracks on the board, and if you just check along there, just a hairline crack will be enough to stop it working properly, and everything looks okay there. Right, the only other thing is this power socket is actually quite dirty and almost blackened in there. So how do I get inside there and give that a good clean? Can I get it in focus? Yeah, you can sort of see where it's blackened down the edge there. Yeah, okay. I'll clean that up as well. If I get a piece of cord and I cut, I don't know, I'm only guessing here, a piece like so, and we roll that into a little roll, a bit of switch cleaner, and I'm going to put this down there and give it a few turns, and now I'll just bend that again and slide it between the pin and the negative part. Just push it up and down a little bit. You can see it's a little bit more shinier now, so that's cleaned the socket up at least. There you go, that's the power socket solved at least. Now try the resonance, which doesn't do anything. Right, flip it back over. Let's have a look at that. Now this is going to be a little bit more trickier because we've got to sort of take the whole circuit board out to get to whatever the problem is there. Now, as you can see here on all the plugs, somebody has been here before me and they've numbered all the plugs up to where they actually belong. So, you know, somebody's already had all this board off previously. There's a few tracks that's been resoldered. It looks like some of the tracks have been eating away slightly, and some engineers come along and thickened up some of the tracks here and there. Okay, I'm sliding the fader up and down here and the ohms reading isn't changing. Right, let's try the other pin. It might be a good idea. I think what I'll do is actually desolder that fader there. That's too easy. It looks like I set it up especially for the video, but it was reasonably easy to come off. Just one of these great desoldering tools here and soldering iron. You can remove these very easily. Now, I'm going to put this on the multimeter now and just test the actual fader out of circuit, because something else in the circuit might have been affecting the reading that the multimeter is giving me. It seems like this fader is doing nothing. Nothing's happening. So, no, nothing. Well, that could be the problem as to why the resonance isn't working. I mean, this is a 30-year-old component, so chances are I haven't got one. If I had, I'd remember. Oh, one moment. Great, 10k and 10k. No, they won't do. That is a shame. What a shame, because that, pin for pin, would have replaced it perfectly. But this is only a 10k pot and this is a 100k pot. So I'm going to have to take this apart and try and fix the actual pot instead. So I'm going to just check that this should be a resistor. This should be about 100k across those two. That reads nothing at all. I mean, that should read 100k across that section. So maybe there's actually a small break in there somewhere. Now I've used a bit of isopropyl alcohol and got the majority of the dirt up, but it looks to me like there's obviously some sort of break in the connection. It's quite, well, it's very worn down, this track is. So this is a temporary measure, and what you can do here is the pencil trick. Now, if you get a nice soft pencil, the soft pencils are normally the ones that they're sort of the blackest pencils. Now, because we know there's no connection up here and there's no connection down here, but this track in between is actually working, what we can do with a very soft pencil is, firstly, I'll just check. Yeah, that's the nicest, blackest pencil that I own. So, this is a temporary measure. Now, if I go across the pot that isn't working, what might happen, if we're lucky, you see, all I'm doing is I'm just sort of colouring in nice and thickly with the pencil over the section that seems to have got some sort of microscopic crack in there. It's the bit that isn't working correctly. So if I go across there and across there, remember we wasn't getting any reading past these points, and hopefully there'll be enough carbon that will drop between the crack or the gap or whatever is happening there that's stopping it connecting the pin to this carbon track in the middle. Hopefully we'll be filling that in with some carbon from the pencil, and that might help it work. So now let's test it again. Now this is a 100k fader, so you will not get 100k, no chance. 124. Do you know, that's close enough. At least it's working now. It's 20% out, but it's actually working. Now it's made the connection across there. It's not 100k, it's 124k, but that's a temporary fix with just a soft pencil. Now, do you remember which way up it went? Because I don't. That way up. I think it went there. It fits two ways. That's a shame. No, it's not that way. It's definitely this way. Got to be. Now remember, if you're fixing really old synthesizers like this, then you need old lead-based solder, because it just won't work properly without 30-year-old solder. And if you believe that, you believe anything. Right. Okay, let's get this back together again and see what happens. When you've got these type of screws that are going into these plastic posts, have you noticed most of these posts are actually split? Like I say, somebody's already been and repaired this last time round, and I'm not saying it's down to them, but when you put these screws in, you should never over tighten them, because they're only really designed to go in these plastic posts once, and that's it. If you keep taking them out and putting them back in again, those posts eventually will split and will be no use at all. So when you put the screws in, as soon as you feel them getting tight, that's enough. Don't try and give any more, or else you end up destroying the posts. There you go. Everything's all back together again now, and it's only a temporary fix, really, what I've done with the resonant slider there, by fixing it with the pencil. Now, it's a 100k pot for that one. I've only got 10, so I couldn't put one of those in because it wouldn't really do very much at all. It's completely wrong. However, there seems to be a little cracking point at number 7 on the scale here, but other than that, at least it's sort of working. And like I say, that's only a temporary fix. That's not going to last before the wiper actually starts to scrape off the pencil that I've put on the edges there. But until I can get a 100k pot to completely replace that, I'm afraid that's going to have to do. Yeah, that little trick can get you out of all sorts of bother with key contacts and faders and potentiometers and things. You can always resort to the soft pencil trick, which it's not a correct way of repairing them, but it's a kind of a get-me-by. So if you found that useful, then please give us a thumbs up, and I've got plenty more things on the way. So all the best, and thank you very much for watching.